Okay, here's the dope I promised you. Okay, I was just a while ago, I was at the bank putting some affairs in order. Okay, the lady, it just so happened the lady that I drew as the personal banker was the executive director. Very delightful young lady. The kind of courtesy and friendliness you just don't see anymore. Very refreshing. Anyway, as we were taking care of these details, I got to a point, we both were feeling comfortable in our conversation with each other, that I said, let me put you on the spot about something. Well, actually, it was several things, ended up being several things, but I said, she said, okay. I said, I hear, and I hear it in many places that I listen to a lot of alternative news media, because you can never get the truth from CNBC or ABC, NBC, the big three liars. I mean, the big three, broadcasters, and then Fox too. You can't trust them either, because, like I said before, they're owned lock, stock, and barrel. Comcast, all of that are owned by the people that are causing these problems. Anyway, I said, I hear that I've heard serious talk of negative interest rates. I said, you're in a sensitive position about, knowing what's coming down the pike in those ways. It's your business, it's your profession, you're the expert. I said, what's going on? What can you tell me? She looked me straight in the face and she said, didn't blink an eye. She said, there are major moves being made in that direction right now. It's not talk. And she quoted that as coming through and from the Federal Reserve. Now, she's an executive director at this financial institution. Okay, conversation progressed a little further, and we touched on the cashless society. I said, I know that, that's what they want. That's the goal. She said there are positive steps being taken in that direction right now, which brought up the next topic I just had to ask her about. I said, from what I hear, there will be a window of opportunity, a time span, a transition period, if you want to put it that way, of when we go to a cashless society from what we are right now to the next reality, I call it. And I said, I've been told from several sources that during this transition period that what a lot of financial experts are saying, cash will be king. Meaning, if you have physical paper cash or coinage in your possession, there will be a time period when you'll have leverage like you won't believe. And she said, funny you mentioned that. She said, our gray hair, what they call the gray-haired investors of this financial institution, and she's clarified that by saying, what I mean is the people who are like 75 years old and have deposited over $100,000 in our institution are drawing it out for the reason of putting it under the mattress. Now, I shudder to think I'd have a lumpy mattress if I had $100,000 underneath it. Anyway, no, the point is that it's widespread knowledge of anybody who knows anything in investments that this is coming. There's not the talk about it is being suppressed, actively suppressed in the media. But it's common knowledge, and people are acting on it now. And I found it since she did too, found it very significant that these people in this age group are also people who may have been young during the Depression, but have absolutely vivid recollection, at least even if they don't remember it firsthand, they remember it through the stories of their parents who were right there when it happened. She said she saw it as very significant that these people were the ones taking large, very large sums of money out of that institution, that financial institution, to have available at how they needed to have it available. So I'm not going to say it's scary. It can be very scary, but it's to me, the way I choose to look at it is forewarned is forearmed. Face up to these things. We're about to go into a major, horrible depression. It's going to be the worst financial collapse since the Great Depression of the 1930s. A lot of people are saying much worse because of the conduct of. You can't just blame it on the Federal Reserve. I'm not going to get into technicalities, but it's more than just the Federal Reserve that's done this. This has been the will of everybody, and everybody's fixing to get their comeuppance on it. Preparedness is, I'll put it this way, I have my own saying about it. I'm sure other people think this way, but I can't attribute it to anybody. I haven't heard anybody else say it, although I'm sure they think this way. But this is what I say. This is my position on this. Austerity is your best friend now. Don't wait for it to be forced upon you. I mean, my unique situation by being unemployed, I'm having to do this. But I was doing it before, and I'm doing it now. I'm not anywhere near the end of my resources, but I'm going to act like I am. Okay, that's where this is at. Your best friend is austerity. People can't stand it; they hate it. People, and as human nature, I want what I want, and I want it right now. Those days are gone. You may think that you're still a bunch of spoiled brats. Reality's fixing to put you in your place. And yes, there will be. I believe that there will be. This will be a true tempest. There will be great suffering. And what I told the lady I was talking to at the financial institution, I said my own personal thought on it is your very best friend, aside from austerity, your best friend is going to be the network you develop now. You go out of your way to make friends and be a real friend. Don't just don't be the fair weather friend that's only going to be around when you get something you need. Be a true friend. Form a network. I told her, I said, I know most people might not even agree with me on this, but as Pastor Manning said, I'm still going to have supper, whether you agree with me or not. And that is, I think things will go back to a tribal level, not technically, and I told her that. I said, not technically speaking, but your survival will depend on these inner units, because functional society like it exists now, and I think it depends on where you live. In some places it'll be much worse than others. Some places may suffer hardly any at all. But I think your close unions, your mutual interest, people who can get together and say, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I'll put it this way: enlightened self-interest, but not to the point of infringing on others. Those people who have that network of enlightened self-interest, and who, by that I mean, who are willing to mutually help each other and get through this time, will be the ones who suffer the least. I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep on saying it, that being prepared is only half of it. Accepting Well, for me, I'll just only say what I do. I'm going to, austerity is, that was an interesting thing. Let me finish. Austerity is going to be a way of life for me, not just an interim, behavior. I heard stories from the Great Depression of people who had a lot when it started and got wiped out and ended up having to live way, way, way down the ladder. And they never came back. They were able to financially, if they had wanted to go back to the nicer houses and the assets that they had before the collapse, but they never did. And I think that's a fascinating social study right there, that people were hurt so badly by those times that once bitten, twice shy became part of their what would you say, ego displacement. That was it. They were changed forever. And even though they materially could have went back to that same level, they never did. Some people did. But I find it fascinating that it will affect people on that level. So that's why I say austerity now. Don't wait for it to be forced on you like it is in Greece and Portugal and Spain. Oh my gosh. You hear that it's coming, that what's happening there is coming here, and I believe it is. But a lot of people are going to deny it right up to the end. But anyway, fascinating conversation with this lady at the financial institution. She confirmed every single thing that I believed and I suspected was going on. And I was shocked at her candor. She was very open about it. Didn't try to color it up anyway, dope it over, nothing. She said it like it was, and evidently it's closer than I even thought it was. So anyway, work on your personal plan. Get right with God, number one. I do agree with Rob Kirby on that get your spiritual house in order first, then work on everything else. We'll be back.